Welcome back to the show. Now, if you're new to me, I'm Kim Foster, and I'm an MD turned coach, a business mentor for my fellow health and wellness coaches, and also the founder of the Wellness Coach Academy. Now, I talk to a lot of people who would love to become a wellness coach and build their own business, but a lot of them really struggle with a lot of doubt. They doubt whether this is really possible. They're maybe even skeptical because, let's face it, it sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? When you run a successful business as a wellness coach, you are your own boss. You set your own hours, you take vacation when you want, you work from home if you want, or really work from wherever in the world that you like. And even better than all that, you get to wake up every day with the satisfaction of knowing that you're helping people to improve their lives. I mean, it just sounds so amazing, right? So I don't blame people for being skeptical because it sounds too good to be true, which is why I'm so excited to share with you today's conversation with my guest, Amanda Nighbert, because Amanda is a registered dietitian who specializes in weight loss nutrition, and she has built, no joke, a seven-figure business out of her area of expertise. Amanda used to work at a hospital making $66,000 a year before following her passion and starting her own business, which is now way more successful than she could have possibly imagined when she first started out. In fact, you'll hear us talk about this during the interview, that all she really wanted to do when she was first starting out was just make an extra $1,000 each month. That was her initial goal. But she has gone way beyond that, obviously. And it's all because she made the decision that she just wasn't going to settle for the status quo. She was willing to try something new, and she has given herself permission to try and see what happens instead of worrying about what might go wrong and thinking this isn't really possible. And I'm saying this because I know that those doubts and worries are what are stopping a lot of you from jumping in and getting moving. So, without further ado, to show you just what is truly possible for you if you are willing to show up for yourself, here's my conversation with Amanda Nighbert. Okay, well, hey, Amanda, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I am really looking forward to this conversation because I love being able to showcase people who have built something really amazing by following their passion and by not settling for the limitations for the career that they have found themselves in. And Amanda, you have built a seven-figure business from scratch in the health and wellness space, and that is just so awesome. And I know my audience is just going to be on the edge of their seats to learn exactly how you did that. So I'm pretty excited to dive into everything with you. Let's just give our audience a bit of background before we jump into everything. I want to start kind of at the beginning of your journey. You began as a registered dietitian, yes? And you were working in a hospital making $66,000 a year. Is that all? Is that right?
That's right. That's right. Almost 20 years. Yeah. In the clinical setting, very, what I felt like was a dead end job with, no potential for growth. And it was nearing my 40th birthday. And I remember saying, I'm either going to, stay in this job. It wasn't a bad job. I loved my job, saying the same thing and making the same money for the next 20 years, or I'm going to do something about it and carve my own path.
I love that so much. It's music to my ears because that's exactly my story too. I looked ahead and I was like, I'm just going to be doing the exact same thing for the exact same money until I get tired enough of it that I want to retire. Like, that's not the life that I was looking for. So
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So you had kind of a wake up call, and then what happened? Tell me about what happened from there.
So ironically, I thought to myself, I could be happy and where I am if I could just make an extra $1,000 a month, because that would give me an extra $12,000 a year. And I feel like I could take two fabulous vacations for $6,000 each. So really, when I looked at like, what am I missing in my life? I mean, the biggest thing was just like that, extra ability to not be strapped and, and have more time and, to just travel the world. Like, that's what I want to do. And so that was initially my goal, was to create just a little side hustle, that I would do in the evenings and on the weekends to achieve that. And needless to say, it exploded. And, within 12 months, I was actually had, quadrupled my salary and was leaving my full-time job to really just pursue this passion. So
That's amazing. So you didn't even start. I wasn't even like, let me just go see if I can build a seven-figure business. It was like, just
no,
need just a little more play money, like just a little bit
yes,
extra margin to give
yes.
me some stuff that I would like to do to make me feel more like I'm living the life that I want to live. And then it just exploded from there. So tell us about the explosion. Like, how did that all, things went quite quickly, like became quite quickly
Very quickly.
successful. What would you say what were the factors there? What were the contributors to that success?
I think I'm so passionate about health and wellness and nutrition. And I'd kind of been in like this little hospital bubble, like sharing my passion and, connecting with patients kind of one on one. And it was extremely fulfilling. And then it's really like, my entire marketing strategy was just to leverage social media. I mean, that's all I did. I had, no money. I had no website. I had nothing. I literally just had a passion to help people. And so I just started showing up on social media, sharing my knowledge, sharing what I knew. And it just resonated with people. And, I felt like I provided such value
Mhm.
and connection. And I think ultimately that's why I became so successful is that, people connected with me and they learned from me and, ultimately they kind of wanted to work with me. So, I mean, that's kind of how it started. And it was just kind of like this slow growth. I mean, this was in 2017 when
Mm.
Facebook Live was the newest and greatest.
Right.
And I just went all in and did lives like, every night and just grew my following word of mouth. And again, it just, my program, kind of met the masses.
That's amazing. Okay, let's unpack a little bit of that stuff. I'd love to hear it. So it's 2017. I was going to ask you how long ago that was. And Facebook Live was like the new big flashy thing. And what I heard you say is that you just went live every night. Can you talk to me about that? Because I think that that's really key.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, it social media is a very powerful tool, and it's a place where you can, reach the masses for free.
Mhm.
And at that point, I was taking a couple of business classes, and they were telling me like, give a little, but make them pay for the rest. And I always say I sucked at that. I just gave everything, like I had a really hard time saying, here's one thing you need to do, but you got to pay for two and three. And so I just like showed up and so my whole strategy was, and this is honestly how I feel, from working with clients 20 years in a clinical setting and now for the past 5 years virtually, is people know what to do. They just struggle to do it consistently. And so that was
Absolutely.
really my message. Like, if I've taught you something new and you want to learn more about it, come work with me. If you know all the stuff that I'm saying, you just struggle to do it consistently, come work with me, And I think that that's maybe another way that I kind of set myself apart, from everybody else is just acknowledging the fact that, again, we know what to do. We just struggle to do it.
100%. I think that that is so important. And I just want to highlight that because a lot of people, I hear a lot of clients and students, they're like, oh, well, if I just give away everything for free, why are they going to pay me? Or they say, I mean, they're not even yet to the stage of creating free content. And they're like, why is somebody going to want to work with me when they can find all of the information that they want online? And I'm like, that's not why they would want to work with you. People aren't just looking for information. They don't just
Right.
want to know stuff. We all have way more information than we know what to do with. It's really exactly what you said. They know what to do. They just need the help doing it. And that is the domain of coaches, right? Like that is exactly where coaches live. That is our competitive advantage. That's what we actually do. So I love that you came to it from like an abundance mindset. I'm just going to give you all of the stuff because Google exists. So if you want this stuff
Right.
anyway, you can find it, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, so I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to give it all to you. And then I mean, that's what it's all about, like the abundance out and then abundance comes in because you were just showing up as your authentic self, sharing, being generous, showing what you know, sharing everything. And people are like, oh, that I need more. Not everybody. I'm sure that there were tons of people who consumed your stuff for free, but the
Oh,
people,
absolutely.
of course, that's the way that it goes, right? But those people who were like, oh yeah, this is great. And I need more of Amanda. Like I need her in my life to walk by me and help me out with this. Those are the people that came out of the woodwork to work with you.
Exactly. And it's kind of, I love how you talk about the abundant mindset because, I think I've been in spaces with coaches and, I think now every 2017, maybe leveraging social media, I had maybe a little, advantage at that time. Now it's like there's so many kind of health coaches and, wellness people in this space competing for clients. And even at the time, my biggest thing was just I put on blinders and I focused on me and, what I did and what I did well and what I had to offer versus comparing myself to other dietitians or other, wellness gurus that were, had bigger followings or doing bigger and better things. And I think just that in itself also led to success,
Yeah, that's such a great lesson too, because like I hear that a lot from people is that they feel like, oh, well, there's so many other people doing this. The market is saturated. There's better established people with bigger followings. Why is anybody going to follow me? And then you just take yourself out of the game before you even entered it, right? And I mean, it's such a mindset thing. It's so important to really have an abundance mindset around that piece. And like you said, put your blinders on because yeah, sure, there are other people out there who are, you're not saying anything revolutionary that hasn't been said before, but nobody else is going to give that message in quite the way that you are going to. And that's your unique advantage. And that's going to resonate with some people and not at all with others. And that's completely fine because you don't need all the people in the world to become your client. You couldn't service them anyway, right? It would be
Right.
impossible. You need the people who are the perfect fit for you, who are waiting for you to get over yourself and show up, right? And not be worried about the competition because the competition isn't really competition because they're doing things in their own way too. So I love that you were able to put your blinders on and just say, I'm just me and I'm just going to show up in the way that I can help and share. So that's awesome.
And that is the hardest part. Like
Yeah.
you said, get over yourself. Like,
Yes.
I mean, you do have to. I mean, it took me probably a good 6 to 8 months to feel comfortable. I mean, you want to talk about going live, that's like the
It's
scariest
so
thing
scary.
ever. I mean, I practiced for 3 days before my first live video.
Yeah.
And I remember, before every live, I would do my hair and makeup. And I mean, again, there was so much preparation, just because I was so nervous. And nowadays it's just like, oh, okay, I'm in the bathroom, I'm in the shower, I just woke up. It's like press play, put out information. And it's really just a matter of you get to the point where you stop caring particularly about the people closest to you,
Mm-hmm.
and not even the closest to you, but like even people like in my community, like what are they going to think about me, showing up live, talking about nutrition every day. Who's this girl? But it's like once you get over that, and then it's so much easier.
Yes.
So yes, get over yourself.
Yes, it's like a mantra. And you're right. It's so true. And there's something special about going live that is particularly anxiety provoking. I remember the first time that I tried to go live, I like my finger is like hovering over the go live button forever and it's
Yeah,
shaking. And I'm like, okay, just do it. Just push the damn button. And I just couldn't make myself do it. I had to like 5 different attempts to like actually do it. On top of all of like exactly like you described, all the prep beforehand and everything. It's just, yeah,
exactly.
it's very intimidating. But the good news is that if you can be one of the people who gets over all of that and just pushes the button and just
It
does
gets
it.
easier
Yes,
is basically what it comes down to. Like it's
exactly.
hard for like you may look at someone and go, man, she makes it look so easy, but I promise you, she was shaking in her
Yeah.
boots.
Yeah.
The first, again, not like the first time, but the first 100 times. And,
Exactly.
and it's kind of like everything in life. The more repetition, you do, the easier it gets.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So that's amazing that you were able, to do that and at that time and really like capitalize on that particular platform and then just allow things to grow. That's just so great. Tell me a little bit about your program. It's called Lean, right?
So, yeah, my program's called Lean, and that stands for Living Energized and Nourished. And I call it a foundational program.
Mhm.
Again, I feel like as a dietitian, we have complicated nutrition. We have made it so hard to be healthy that people just give up. They're so confused about what to believe. They're overwhelmed. They just almost like don't know where to start. And then when they do start, it's too hard to sustain.
Mm.
And so lean is really about teaching my clients foundational work. I feel like you can't, you can't optimize your health if your sleep is crappy.
Yeah.
You can't optimize your health if you're eating out 6 times a day. It's like simple things like let's just eat better, let's sleep better, let's move better. So we focus on a lot of foundational work and we focus on a lot of mindset. I think health and wellness is very much rooted in, again, what we believe we're capable of doing.
Mhm.
And in addition, like our belief. I actually did a TED talk about like this all or nothing mindset, this notion that you have to be perfect to be healthy. And I think that is the number one thing holding most people back. So we work a lot on like habit tracking and, again, ultimately doing anything we can that's going to lead to health consistently.
I love that. I happen to completely agree with you about like that, the all or nothing mindset and the stories that we tell ourselves about why we can't do it. I mean, we all, if you really, once you, of course, that's the core of so many things. Once you start to tune in to, if I'm not an athlete, I don't consider myself an athlete, then I'm not going to go running because that's what athletes do and I'm not an athlete, so let me just sit here and do nothing. And really it sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud, but people don't say it out loud, they say it in their heads. And it
Exactly.
stops them from doing things. So I adore that you actually incorporate that, because I actually do think that is kind of a missing piece in a lot of health and wellness stuff that's out there, is really under recognizing the contribution that makes to people's behavior. Because again, it sort of circles back to like, we know what we're supposed to do and yet we're not doing it. And why
Yep.
is that? Like,
Why is
what's
that?
going on? And I think that's what's going on for a lot of people, is our minds, our stories, our all of that limiting beliefs, all of that stuff gets in the way. And so
Limiting beliefs. Yeah.
so to not address that means you're only really covering part of it. Like just to tell people, oh, we'll just eat salad, stop eating French fries, like, whatever it is. So it's only part of what's going to help people.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I love that you did a TED Talk. How did that happen?
Well, I just kind of manifested it. I
Nice.
actually, if you're familiar with the TED process, it is quite arduous, that's for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Applied to many. I mean, you have to apply to a lot of different, organizations that
Mm-hmm.
put them on. And I was actually accepted right before COVID
Oh, wow.
and was working on it. And then COVID came, and so it was canceled. And I thought my opportunity was gone, but I picked up applications about a year later, and then I got accepted to the TEDx event at Grand Canyon in Phoenix, Arizona, and that was almost 2 years ago. So it was awesome.
Amazing.
About the all or nothing mindset, how to break that in terms of long term, the ability to be, successful long term.
I love
So
that. Can you send me a link to that talk so that
I
I can
will,
put it in
yeah,
the
put
show
it in the
notes?
show
Because that
notes.
would be
Yeah.
just so great, because I'd love to watch that. Yeah, that process of doing a TED Talk, I mean, such a powerful platform, but yeah, it does sound like and seems like quite an arduous undertaking. Like you have to take time. Did you have to take time out of your life to get that all organized and
Oh,
sorted out?
100%.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
and
really
here's the
cool.
thing. I mean, a lot of people don't realize. So I got like, you kind of give like a draft, it's like, here's my thought process. And then I was contacted and they were like, we need your final speech memorized in 4 weeks. So that's the other thing I think people don't realize is that you have to memorize this 8 to 11 minute talk. So
Yeah.
it's like once you curate it to create this powerful message in 10 minutes, then you have to memorize it, and then you have to stand on a stage in front of hundreds of people and kind of deliver it. So it's a lot of preparation. I mean, I got a lot of steps on my treadmill because I would sit on my treadmill and I would walk and I would just say my talk over and over, and I can probably still say it to this day.
Yeah, it's like in there forever.
It's definitely in there for sure. But that was, again, for me, that was like a career opportunity.
Mhm.
I'm always looking for ways to get my name out there. I mean, when I started in this space, I felt like there was like two or three dietitians that were really kind of well known,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I was like, I want to be one of them. I'm not there, but I'm working on it, and I also like to mention I'm 45 years old. So I'm no spring chicken, and I don't think that age is really a factor. When you have the passion to put forth, what you want to achieve.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that point because I do hear from, many people, again, it's kind of a limiting belief. It's definitely a limiting belief. Again, I'm too old for this. But equally, I also hear from people who say, I'm too young. Nobody's going to take me seriously. If they're in their 20s kind of thing. I don't
Yeah,
have enough experience. So I'm like, we all think that we're the wrong age, which the
exactly.
only logical conclusion is that we are all the exact right age. So it's
The exact right
okay.
age.
It's okay. So yes, I love it because of course, your way of being and the way that you show up and your message and your persona, everything is going to resonate with just the right people. It's going to be
Right.
different than the people who are maybe looking for somebody who is in their 20s, who just brings a different kind of energy and everything to what they're sharing. So you can't change your age. So you just show up as who you are and
Yep.
and let people come to you who are the right people. So yeah, that's
Be
awesome.
authentically you.
The only
For
thing
the
you
good
can
and the
be.
bad.
Yes,
I always
yes.
say, I'm a dietitian that believes that like all foods fit. And so I like to show a lot of balance. You'll see me at Chick-fil-A, you'll see me drinking wine, and you'll see me making homemade ranch dressing, but
I
it's,
love
it
it.
never fails that, the minute I'm talking about a healthy option at Chick-fil-A, the food police absolutely come attack me. Like, I cannot believe as a dietitian, you would recommend such food, and I'm just like, dude, chill. Otherwise, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not speaking to you. Okay.
Mhm.
Clearly, you have your act together. You cook all your food at home. It's all organic. It's all perfect. You don't need me. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm speaking to this other person who needs a healthy option when they run through Chick-fil-A. So it's so interesting that people get triggered by you. And that's another thing I would say, like, you're gonna piss people off. Not everyone is going to agree with everything you say, and not everyone is going to agree with every advice you give. And I used to take that stuff very personally, but now I realize that, I'm not speaking to that person, because for every person that comes and wants to attack me about, eating at a fast food restaurant, I have 20 people that come and say, that was so helpful. Thank you so much. So, recognize that you can't make everybody happy.
absolutely, 100%. And it's such a good point. And this is definitely something that stops people, I think, from pressing play, from recording a video, from sharing whatever, is the fear of, well, criticism, the fear of scrutiny. Yeah, we touched on it a little while ago about like people in your family and your neighbors and what are they going to think and all of that stuff. But it's also those strangers out there who exactly like the perfect description is the food police, right?
Food
And
police.
so, or what they're they're going to be people policing whatever it is that you are talking about. And you can choose to let the fear of that criticism stop you, or you can accept that it is a guarantee. Like it's a guarantee, right? That because people are like, oh, well, what if I get criticized? And I say, you are going to
Yeah,
get criticized. It's
it's
a
gonna
for
happen.
sure. There's no way around that. So what you can do is decide how you're going to handle it. So I love what you described about like just, I mean, a couple of reframes, right? It was that I'm not speaking to that person. They're not the person who needs my help. That's so important.
Yeah. And that's usually, how I try to be kind because I know that they have a good intention, but their their good intention is what is making nutrition so hard,
Yeah.
You're bashing me and in the same time bashing this choice is what's making someone go, I can't do it. I mean, so I'm going to do nothing. And I think and again for me I have so much experience working with real people,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with real budgets, with real barriers, all the things that I get it. Like people need, they need a step in the right direction versus this whole like platform of you've got to be perfect, perfect, perfect. And
Yeah.
so that's really what I kind of base my whole persona on. And I live that, I'm
Mm-hmm.
definitely um I'm not a teetotaler in any state.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and again, that goes back to the authenticity piece. It would be disingenuous if you were, saying, "Oh yeah, you can do all the, you can, it can be all foods are allowed." But then if you were living a very different life, that would be a
Right.
problem. Eventually, that's just going to crumble. But yeah, I think that, I mean, another thing that's so helpful that you said about like how to deal with like the food police is also, hang on, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Um, yeah, so like reframing it, they're
Well,
not your
like
people.
validating what they're saying is not wrong,
Right,
you
right,
know?
totally for them. And also, what I got it. What I was going to say is the triggering. You use the word triggering because that's exactly what's happened, and that I think can help you to recognize that it's not about you, right? It's
Hmm.
their issue. They are having what you've no idea what's going on with them in their life, and the different things that they've gone through, and then just you showing up and sharing your message has triggered something in
Yeah.
them that's their issue. It has zero to do with you. And to create that sort of distance too for yourself, I think is helpful in terms of dealing with the criticism.
Yeah. Yeah. The social media is the wild, wild west. I mean, I mean,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
especially if you're like on TikTok and all the new platforms,
Hmm.
you do have to have a little bit of a thick skin because
Yeah. Yeah. Which doesn't happen right away, but it does. But fortunately,
no,
when for most people, when they first start to venture out into social media, they don't have a big following. So it's okay. Like it can build up over time. Like you get
yeah,
more comfortable with sharing, you get more comfortable as you start to hear some criticism, it just slowly gets easier, as we've said
yeah.
before.
I think in the beginning you think you're going to be criticized 100%, but yet you are just embraced with support
Yeah.
because what I found is just my inner circle, my friends and family, they were just so happy for me. Like they helped me, and I did that a lot. Like I would in my lives, I had like a huge text chain of like 50 people and I'd be like, I'm about to go live. Can you please jump on Facebook and just share my live?
Nice.
Like I asked for so much help in terms of just getting my face out there, my message out there. And I couldn't have done it, without them. That's for sure. So, don't be afraid to ask for help. That is for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Like leaning on your support network. If you're feeling like your confidence is wavering, lean on your supporters. That's what they're there for, right? Like people who genuinely want you to succeed. They might not completely understand what it is that you're doing, but they
Right.
do, they want you to be happy and to succeed. And so lean on that in the beginning. That's a great tip too. I'd love to hear a little bit about the spring platform that you built, right? Like, because so you've got your lean program, which I love. And then tell me about the spring program.
So I think that something about my lean program that sets it apart from other kind of, online, nutrition programs is I consider it a very high touch program. So I myself, and now I actually have a team of people helping me. We interact and connect with our clients on a daily basis. Okay. So they're checking in every day, once or twice a day. We're responding. If they're not checking in, we're looking for them. So it's just like a really high accountability, kind of program.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it kind of goes back to the fact that that's what people need. Like they know what to do. They just struggle to do it consistently. So they need someone to kind of hold their hand. They need someone to give them a gold star. They need someone to pick them up when they're struggling immediately, not 4 weeks later,
Yeah.
when I was in a clinical setting, I might see like a medical weight loss patient, maybe every 2 weeks or maybe every 4 weeks. Well, a lot can happen, in 2 to 4 weeks. So, in addition to providing this kind of high level support, initially when I was running my programs, I was running them on, with Zoom and Teachable and Facebook and MyFitnessPal. I was using all of these different apps, so my client had to use 7 different apps in order to do my program.
Mm-hmm.
And so I eventually just, went to an app developer and said, hey, can we put all of this in one place? So Spring is a platform that allows health and wellness professionals the ability to run group-based programs, which is what I run. I wouldn't be able to work with, 5,000-6,000 people a day if I did it one-on-one. So it's a very scalable approach of working with clients. And the Spring allows you to do it pretty effortlessly, kind of all in one place. So once I created my app, I felt like other health coaches could benefit from this type of model, this group-based model and this high touch model, and having all your resources in one place. So we built the multi-tenant option, and then we also have a white label option for it as well.
That's amazing. That's great. And what I love is your evolution just kind of keeps on going and keeps growing. Like it's in response to serving your own like needs first and foremost, and then like sort of ripple effect outwards of how can you help others with this. So
Yeah.
that's very cool. I like that. So if I'm understanding, so you started off like, just doing Facebook Lives, like just getting out there, not even really necessarily with a grand design on how this was all going to come together. And then people started wanting to work with you, and you started, I imagine, as most people do, one-on-one with coaching people on their weight, their health, their
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is, and I experienced this in the clinical setting. We moved to a little bit of this group model. I would see 20 patients in a day, and I would say the same thing.
Yeah.
Every patient, it's like,
Yeah.
and so we created this model within my clinic where we bring in like 10 patients at once. I would do like a group nutrition class, like here's the foundation, here's the basics. And then we'd pull them in one-on-one and be like, what questions do you have? What specifically do we want to address with you? And so I kind of took that model, pretty quickly into, my private practice and started working with small groups. Let me give you the broad information, the global stuff that applies to everybody, and then have the ability to connect with them kind of one-on-one, on a daily basis to address their specific issues. And again, this model just because one-on-one, number one, it will take you down. It is very taxing, very draining.
Yeah.
And number two, I mean, there's only so many hours in the day. Like it's just not scalable.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. So my model is I have my 7-week program, and then I funnel my clients into my monthly membership. So they have like a monthly membership, or I have like a small group VIP coaching, because once you get in the space, you learn getting clients is really hard. So you definitely want to make sure that you have funnels in place to keep your clients.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And so what does your marketing look like now, like to bring people into that first like 7-week program and then move onwards in the journey? Like what's your I'm sure that there's a whole bunch of different strategies that you employ, but just give us a little taste.
Well, it has not changed much. I'm
Hmm.
just like, kind of the dancing monkey on social media. you know, I mean, really, all I do is just try to provide valuable content on all the platforms that I service.
Mhm.
And I really try to stay on top of like social media trends and kind of like, I've been through it all. I've been through the Facebook Live, I've been through the carousel post. Now I'm on the
Mhm.
Reels. Now I'm in the TikTok.
Nice.
And it's just really all about, I mean, check out my social media. I do it all myself. I don't have a huge marketing team, that helps me. Um, just because I feel like, again, authentically, I need to be the one showing up. But, my marketing strategy is really just about putting out valuable content. And again, at the end of the day, I bet I bet this is nothing new you've heard anyone say before, but if you can't implement this consistently in your life, then join my program and let me
Yeah.
help you do that.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so social media still is your, like, that's your, of course, your primary, that's your bread and butter in terms of where you show up. And I love that I mean, the fact that you do it all yourself, that's pretty impressive actually at your stage. Does it take a lot of time?
Oh, it takes a lot of time. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so it didn't used to, but
Mhm.
now with all the inventions of like this whole like TikTok style,
Right.
it does. And again, 6 months ago, I felt like things had to be very curated and I spent
Mhm.
a lot of time like shooting and editing. And now, what I've just realized for my own sanity, my own time, and what really does well is just, again, jumping on, giving a quick, valuable tip, jumping off.
Mhm.
So you don't necessarily, sometimes like not being the trend, but just doing the thing can
Yeah.
be even more valuable. Because I know right now social media is extremely intimidating. Anytime you have to talk to the camera, it's hard. It's hard to do. So I do that. I mean, I do have a little bit of an email marketing campaign. I do recommend not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Social media, they're very fickle. They can take you down in a minute.
It's true.
Um, so email marketing, collecting emails, lead magnets, freebies that I give away for an email address is always something that I'm kind of curating and generating. So I'd say those are kind of like my two big marketing strategies. And then I have a huge push towards past clients.
Mhm.
So I'm always kind of marketing to my old clients. I'm always offering them like a repeat client discount, specials to kind of jump in because working with them is a lot easier than working with a new client because they know they know the drill, they know the foundation. So I can get away with giving them discounts because I know that they're not going to take up kind of as much time as say like a new client would.
Mhm.
And then the last thing is I have a strong referral program. Just asking my clients to spread the word.
That's great. Yes, I love that. Just to complete that circle and just to really make sure that you are, yeah, taking care of all of the potential streams and sources of clients and income. And that's
Hmm.
great. I love that. And what about paid ads? Do you do like paid advertising now?
Very little. I'd say for the first 3 years, I didn't pay for a single ad.
Mhm.
Um, for the first 18 months, I didn't have a website. I had a lead page, So again, I mean, I think the barrier to entry is very small. I think we make up what things we think we need to have when in
Yes.
reality you don't need those. But now I do a little paid advertising with Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Those are probably the three platforms that we try to leverage. Instagram is my main where I kind of live.
Mhm.
And then from there, I just take all my content that I create on Instagram and I push it to Pinterest, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. So I'm not making different content for different platforms. I'm just repurposing the same content on every platform.
Yes, repurposing is the magic for sure. So, because yes, it does. I mean, like you said, it takes some effort and time to actually go about creating the content. You don't want to reinvent the wheel for all the
Yeah.
different platforms, right? So repurpose. But I love that like you just only recently and certainly not in the beginning did advertising, because that's going to be music to a lot of people's ears who worry that that's the only way to gain traction, is that's the only way. And there are certainly some like marketing experts and gurus that's what they would promote, is you have to advertise, you have to pay. But I love that that's really not a core, that's not your bread and butter currently. It's just like a little bit and just recently. But that's going to be very reassuring for people, I think, to hear, is that you can just get started in a simple way. And
Hmm.
also, I love that you just started, you didn't have a website initially, just a
Nothing.
lead page, because I think that these are all reasons why people tell themselves that they're not ready, or that they
They're not
can't do
ready.
this because they don't have all these bells and whistles and all the fancy stuff, and they don't know how to do this, and it's tech and it's intimidating and everything, and don't need all of that. You can
You
just
don't.
start simply, really, like just down to basics, and then you can get fancy later and you can grow from there. But just the main thing is just to get started with what you
Get
have.
started. Yeah, and I'll say, again, when I first started, like local was my, focus. And another thing I did is I contacted every mom's group, every church group, every PTA, any group that I could come and talk about nutrition. Can I come to your monthly meeting and be your guest speaker? I would offer, free, what guest speaking opportunities. So again, all of that stuff was free. It's just, you offering your expertise to a group was another, powerful way to get in front of people. I mean, that was just my goal, is just for people to know who is Amanda Nightbert.
Yes.
um
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. That's just so great. This has just been fantastic, Amanda. And you have just shared so much about your journey. It's just been such a pleasure chatting with you. Before I go, of course, tell us where people can go to learn more about you and get in touch with you and all those things.
So, I mean, you can find me at amandanibert.com. You'll have all my social media links. Most social media, I'm Amanda Nightbert RD. So look me up. If you're a health professional that's interested in like learning to scale, like run these group-based programs, then the springapp.com, please check it out, because we really kind of hold your hand, help you develop your program, help you set up an app that delivers the program effectively. And our business model is when you succeed, we succeed. So it's a great opportunity to, again, jump in the space with, zero cost.
Awesome. That's perfect. Yeah, I will put all those links in the
And
show
it's
notes.
spring without the I. It's
Yes, yes, we should have said that.
SPRNG. Yes,
Yeah,
spring
yeah. Is
without
that
the
an
I.
acronym for something, or is it just
It,
like a
it,
cute name?
it is an acronym, and we created it so long ago. I can't even remember what the acronym, but it was like professional acronyms. It was like RD and physical
Yeah,
therapist, something like that,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that made sense. And the goal is to like launch your business, spring your business into action.
Absolutely. Okay, I love it. Thank you so much, Amanda.
So good to be here. Thank you so much.
Was that amazing or what? I hope that you're feeling super inspired and all fired up to follow in Amanda's footsteps and learn from somebody who is a few steps ahead of you. But honestly, mostly just to believe that this is possible. And let me assure you, if it is possible for Amanda, it's possible for you too. No, you aren't the same as Amanda. You don't have her same personality. Your approach to health and wellness won't be the same. But don't let those differences become excuses for you for why this won't work for you. I can hear the objections now. Seriously, you're thinking, sure, that worked for her, but it probably won't work for me. And if that's what you believe, then you're right, because you won't take the risk and you won't put yourself out there. But I am here to tell you that if you go all in and commit yourself and your business, that this is absolutely possible for you. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Did you find this inspiring? What is the very next baby step that you're going to take right now to set yourself on a path to a 7-figure business just like Amanda? Let me know in the comments below this video, or if you're listening to the audio of this episode, then just go ahead and find me on Instagram and let me know. I would love to continue the conversation about this. Okay, that's a wrap for today. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you again very soon.